All right, my name's Ollie Wolf, and I'm here today to share my testimony with y'all. And I was going to do it church to church. That's the only way I knew how to do it. But my good friend here, we've been friends, ever since I've been saved. He's been saved a long time. He's an old goat, but he helps me and I help him, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm going to start off with my dad, a bad alcoholic. The only way we could sober him up when he started drinking was he would ask us to get his drinks, and we would go, and half of it would be water when we got back. Pretty soon he was drinking straight water and didn't know the difference, but we lived with that every week. And he was, I can't complain about my childhood because it's actually every kid's dream to be able to drive a brand new 57 Chevy convertible that your dad just bought, and you have to drive him around. When he gets drunk, I was driving. So, and the same way about the motorcycle. He's always had a motorcycle. There was about 10 of them that rode together, and he got me my first motorcycle. I was probably 12, 13 years old, and it was a 1947 Harley, gear shift on the tank for you that don't know. But it was hard to ride, but I managed. It was my first bike, and my dad carried me everywhere with him. And when he went to the bar, I went to the bar. We bellied up to that thing, and he drank, and I'd go play pinball and shuffleboard, and we would stay there. We used to go a long ways from home to drink at night. There was a club way out. Y'all wouldn't know, but it's gone a long ways, and I had to drive home. So when he parked the bike at the bar, I'd have him back it in, so I knew I was going to be driving when I left, so I would have a straight shot to the street. And that's what we did. And many a night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, me and Dad was on our way home on that fully dressed Harley with him putting his feet down. I would tap him on the leg, Daddy, it's the red light. And he would put his feet down. And if he never had, we'd have fell over. We'd have never got that bike up. But that was my life. I grew up way too fast. I didn't really have a childhood friends and all that kind of stuff. Quit 8th grade, because my dad, he didn't care if I went to school or not. He'd rather me not, because I'd stay home with him. And one of my things I'd like to forget that I can't is what I had to do to him when he wasn't completely drunk, but he was out of his mind. I worked at a furniture store, and I was loading the truck, and they were just aisles where you walk. The rest of it was furniture. So my dad, I knew he was in the place. I had no idea he had a gun. That just out of character for him. And not that he don't use them, but at that given day, and my mom was there. She was the secretary. My boss was Walter. And Daddy was mad at him, thinking he was courting my mom. But they were divorced, rightly so, But anyhow, I put the furniture in the truck. I'm on my way back down make a right down the row, and I hear a shot as soon as I turn the corner. Oh, man, I couldn't believe it. And then I opened my eyes back up, and there's my dad with that .38 leveled at me, and I seen the hammer draw back. He's fixing to shoot again. And I just let the streetwise take over in me, and I just lunged and got that gun and happened to get my hand in between the trigger and the the bullet. He couldn't pull the trigger. And that was one of the worst things in my life, is to hold him down on the ground, wrestle him to the ground and got the gun away, and let the cops come and take him away. And like I say, I haven't got over it. I hadn't got over it yet. That's just something that a person shouldn't have to do. But I got to share that because that's part of my life. It is what it is. Everybody's had hard times and things they wish they could forget about. And I'm not saying it affected me now, because a lot of people blame that on their parents and stuff. I'm not that way. I've got a mind of my own, and and now I've got God in control, so which keeps me out of a lot of trouble if I listen to Him. It's that small, still voice right here. And He speaks through that, as far as I know, only, and he tells you. I mean, you can feel it. I don't know how to describe it, but you can just know. It's like his testimony thing. I thought about it, and he gave me the will. David had the equipment already, and I mean, this thing was on before I could turn around. I mean, and this is not me wanting any glory out of this, because God gets all the glory. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for God, and I'll tell you more about that later on. But that was bad. I left home around 16, and I didn't live on the streets, but we run the streets. There was about 5 or 6 of us, and we were mean. I mean, ornery, mean, just had no conscience about nothing. You didn't even want to cross us. So I lived that for probably 10 years, and that's a hard way to live. I know some of y'all probably have been there, and if you hadn't, I don't wish it on anybody, It's just part of growing up. So I had a good friend, and we stayed together. He kept a job, I kept a job, so, we lasted, and I got tired of that life. Every Monday morning I would wake up not knowing who I hurt over the weekend. My hands would be bloody, my fists, knuckles broken, and that's how I ended up my weekend there. I mean, we'd fight at the drop of a hat, but we had to live on the street. I mean, we're living in East Dallas. I know y'all probably don't know where that is, but it's the bad part of town. And when you're raised like that, it benefits you. I know now what to do, how to take care of my wife, my kids. I'm just better prepared for life with that experience. And I thank God that I've got it. I really do. I had to go through it then, but I'm benefiting now. And that's kind of the way the Christian life works. Accepting God and His guidance, but God knew, I was tired of that life, so God thought, well, now I'm kind of paraphrasing for God here, I shouldn't, but I was praying to Him, I needed a strong woman, strong-willed wife, basically. I wasn't thinking about wife at that time, but that's basically what I was saying, and He gave me exactly that. Me and my wife been married and going on 50 years now, and we've served the Lord longer than we were in the world, and that says a lot about God bringing us this far. And He's in touch with everybody. I mean, He is the sole purpose that we're here. And when it ends, if you've accepted Christ as your Savior, you'll go to heaven to meet Him, And that's the first person I want to see is Jesus, because He died for my sins. And God sent His only Son. I can't even comprehend that, to die. So, He gave me a good wife, one that I loved right off the get-go. Because I was drinking and drugging, fighting, all that, and I wouldn't have stopped, other than short of death. So I met her, and I straightened up enough to get off the drugs, and it wasn't nothing hard. I didn't do coke and heroin and all that. I knew better. I just knew I didn't want none of that on me. I just took pills to keep me up going, Not that I ain't got enough already. But anyhow, we got married, and I wanted a girl, and I hadn't even told a lot of people about this. Wife got pregnant. She already had a boy. He was a year old when we got married. She had been married. That's why she was single. Her old man run around on her, so she dumped him, and met me, which I was about the opposite of him. I was wild. All I had was a chopper motorcycle when I met her, and she wasn't sure she wanted to go that route with me. I had to really baby her to even get her to date me regular, but God had a finger in it. He got it done. And we got married and moved to our first starter house. We lived in apartments and stuff. Our starter house over in Mesquite. And then what I didn't know was there was a church up at the end of the street from us. And not that had any bearing it does now, but when I moved in, it didn't have none. And there was a deacon come by named Hollis Stanberry, and if he watches this, how you doing, Hollis? Because we old Christian friends, they're the people that got me through being a young Christian. They showed me how to use the Word. In my heart, I knew how I was supposed to live, and I protected my testimony almost with my life, because that is all I have. That's true in my life today is, that my testimony I have with God. And that's important to me, because if you go to church and go out and get drunk on Friday and Saturday, and somebody sees you out there doing that, man, you've done a lot of wrong in that, and I sure didn't want that. So I lived what I taught. So, and I thank God for that, because He helped me get through a lot of stuff that I didn't think I was going to have to deal with. But He got me through it. We got through it together, and I talk to Him as my dad, because He is my father. And when I really get up against it, I've got to go grab a hold of Him and, hey, God, I need this, I think I need it bad, but I'll let you be the judge of that, God, I'm talking to Him back and forth. And that's the only way it can really be, because I'm truly a child of God. And, you can be also, just accept Christ. Because there's a lot of good Christians out there that'll lead you. You can get in a good church, Bible preaching church, and because I wouldn't trade it for nothing. If I had to stand up and defend it and to keep from going back to the world, I would do it to death, because it's that important to me. I've seen that much change in my life from who I was to who I am now. Spiritually, in my heart. I'm still wild and crazy. I've always been a hyper person. And, it's hard to harness. But anyhow, Hollis come by, wanted to pick up Reggie, take him to church, on the bus. I said, nah, I was mean to him. The first time he come by, I slammed the door in his face. I said, look, I got all Christianity I need. And he come back again, following week or so, and invited us in church. He didn't give up. And it worked. Talked my wife, and I said, hey, I said, instead of sending Reggie on the bus, let's just take him ourselves. Well, that's right down God's alley right there, you know. Hey, it's pushed me right into it. So we did, and that very Sunday, we received Christ, both of us. She was raised a Catholic, and I thought I was saved already. I was saved when a young boy, but I didn't never repent of my sins and tell Jesus I was sorry, and that I wanted him in my life. And that's where it's at. Just knowing him personally it's the best thing. I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, honestly, even if I was a millionaire, I would choose this road better than that. And God also works in people. He leaves all his Christians here to carry out his word, and God uses the everyday people in your life. God uses them, whether they're Christian or not. I mean, he used them, but he'd rather use a Christian. But he's going to get his job done one way or the other. And I went to work for a big furniture company out in Plano, and an old man, he wasn't an old man, he's gray-headed, older than me, I was, 20, but he owned that store out there, and I touched up furniture. Well, he had a whole warehouse full of it, scratched, dented, and he couldn't get it sold or fixed. Nobody was doing that kind of work but me around here. So I fixed it up for him. Man, they put it on the showroom floor. He was amazed that I could do that to that furniture. But God gave me that talent, so I put it to use, it made me a living. And one day, Mr. Fowler, that's his name, Thomas A. Fowler, called me over the intercom and told me he'd come to his office. And I thought I was probably about ready to get fired or whatever. You don't ever go to the office, but I went up there. He sat me down. We talked a little bit, and he said, I heard you wanted to go in business. And I thought, man, he's going to fire me just for that reason. And I said, yes, sir. I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't have the money, I just honest with him. He said, well, that's what I got you up here for. He said, I want to buy all your equipment to get you started in business. And I was a young Christian, y'all. I couldn't get over that. And, he could tell I was awestruck, because that don't happen every day, but it happens with God. If God's got his finger in it, it's going to be first class. And the deal was to finish his, clean out that bone pile there. We called it the boneyard. And, upon that, then I could quit and go start my business. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't know how, but I depended on the one person that's always with me, always has been, always will be, and that's God. I didn't know what to do in business. I didn't know how. I didn't know. I could do the work, but you got to know how to run it. You got to go how to get the business in there. Well, God taught me and put people with me that would show me what I need to do, and just right down the line, and that served me well. Just knowing that trade. Now, I had to get out of it later on in life because it was poisoning my system with the lacquers and the enamels and stuff like that. But God didn't miss a beat, and I didn't either. I went right straight into commercial painting. A friend of mine from church was in commercial painting, and I was doing door frames for him. And I hired another guy to do everything because I couldn't be in the field with the chemical stuff. Because I had saturated my skin with it all through the years. And so I didn't skip a beat. God just drew me right through it, and they had the oil crunch, and, back in the 80s, and, man, I just whizzed right through that, and all because of him. I had my life turned over to him. And You know, it ain't just me, it's everybody that trusts God. Me and my wife, I wanted a girl. She got pregnant. She used her doctor, delivered all the babies in the family. He did it to everybody. And we went to Baylor, and when she got in, fixing to have the baby, I was up there by myself because I didn't have anybody to call. I mean, you can't just pick up the phone then. You had to remember the numbers and all that. And it all happened so fast, I caught myself there at the hospital by myself. And I'm thinking, man, this is not good, you know. I could tell my wife was having trouble for how long she was in there. And sure enough, here come the doctor out, and first thing I said, how's my wife? He said, well, she's hemorrhaging, but he said, we got her under control, she's going to be all right. And I said, how about my baby? And the look on his face, I knew already. And that poor guy, he had to deliver that baby. It was deformed. The backbone was on the outside of his body. Now, what caused that, I don't know, but it did. Man, I was brokenhearted. I was a pallbearer. I was everything. I had to have a funeral because the baby lived. We named her Teresa, and that's my wife's middle name. And I was a pallbearer. I had to go bury the baby by myself because I didn't have nobody else, you know. When you live on the street like that and you're self-sufficient, you just don't depend on a lot of people. And I didn't have anybody, and I didn't have God then either. So that was before we were saved. And I sure needed Him. I'm telling y'all, I've never been so lost in my life as with that. You know, my wife was about to die, and I lost my baby, and, you know, I'm hunting somebody to blame it on. And got over that, and we got on with our life, started serving Christ at that church. Fellowship Baptist Church is what it was. And we just got up there and got involved. Already. My prayer by giving this testimony is that if someone's lost, they will receive Christ. And some Christians may be having a hard time in life, but I can say with certainty, it just depend on the Lord like He tells you to do. Take His yoke. It's not as heavy as ours. And He'll walk with you the whole way, trust me. I know I've been there, I've done it, so I've lived my life that way, and God used me in His service, but only reason was because I was willing. I wanted to do something for God because what God had did for me and my family. You know, I talked about losing the baby and all that. Well, she got pregnant again, and I had that baby girl that I had been wanting. And that's how good God is. I mean, He didn't forget about that and just go on to something else. He actually gave me what I was asking. And that's kind of neat. But that's how God works. I didn't have a clue, you know. And, you know, we're here to be a witness for God, you know, for Christ, what He's done for us. And that's the only reason we're here, you know, left down here. I want to share with you how God has blessed me going through troubles. I've had heart trouble since 2000, up to this point. I mean, it daily. And back in June, I think 23, I had heart failure, and I died twice on the operating table. I crashed, and I didn't know it. I didn't see no white lights, I didn't see God or nothing. If I did, I wouldn't have wanted to come back down here. But anyhow, that was the worst, and God was in it from the get-go. I'm going to tell you how. My daughter lives in Austin, I live in Waxahachie, which is, 250 miles away. And I was having that heart attack. I didn't know it was heart failure. But she walked through the door right as I was having it. I mean, I hadn't even let go of the counter because I couldn't. I was clenched. It was hurting. She said, "Daddy, come on, we got to go now." She threw her stuff on the floor, and we went right straight to the doctor. They had to care flight me down to Big Baylor downtown. I stayed in there for 12 days, and my daughter stayed right with me. She took off work. She had to, because they'd have had to tie me in the bed, because I have bad dreams, probably from my past, but anyhow, I have bad dreams, so I'm, wanting to get out of bed and blah, blah, blah. And my daughter was snug right up there. She sat in a chair. There wasn't no recliner thing. So for 12 days, she was up there with me. And it's kind of been like that. I raised her a tomboy. We rode dirt bikes together, so I enjoyed her and she enjoyed me, because, I taught her a lot, about the world and about Christianity, and, and in that position that I was in, the doctor come in there and said, "If your heart don't start pumping, you're going to be dead in 3 days." I said, "Well," because they become a C. I had a thing at the end of the bed making my heart beat for me, pumping. And they would come in daily and turn that off and see if my heart would start back up, And I had 10 doctors, when I say they, and they did all they could do. I was a dying man with a bad heart, and there wasn't nothing else they could do. So they come in the last day, and matter of fact, my daughter said, "Dad, we ain't never had to make no life decisions in this, all your time going to the hospital. What are we going to do?" I said, "I've been telling you all these years, and you've been watching me live my life." I said, "You know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to depend on God like I have all these years, and I'm not going to, not do it now." And I said, that's what you do, too. Depend on God. Pray to Him and tell Him you want your old daddy to live longer and see. So that's what I did. Sure enough, the third day come in, those doctors said, "Hey, guess what?" I already knew. My heart had started pumping, and it's still pumping today. And I told them, I said, "Y'all are good doctors. I thank God for you. I prayed for you before you messed with me coming in the shape I was in, and God used y'all to keep me alive this far, so He got my heart, Him. Y'all are done, but I was talking to Him, and He started it. So, that's all I can say about that. It is what it is. And, you can't make stuff up like that. It's just, I stay so blessed inside that I'll be driving down the street weeping just because I'm blessed. When God does something, He does it all the way. And not that I don't have problems. I do. But I turn everything to Him. And I'm not just saying that. You can ask my family. You can ask the people I work with. And matter of fact, the workers, I mentored 2 boys who didn't have, the parents were dead. They were being raised by the grandparents. They didn't have any direction. And I hired one of them. His name is Brian. And I'm so proud of him. He accepted Christ. He got married. He settled down. He's got a good job in Kansas. And, it's just, God uses you. And that's what I hope this testimony will do. God has helped me. Back in 2000, they had done 6 stents in my heart. And the doctor later on the next year had a heart attack, a bad one. And they should have done the bypass surgery. That's what that doctor told me, Dr. Hamilton. So they did it then. They opened me up. They did 5 bypasses. They took veins out of my legs and stuff and put them up here in the heart. And I've been doing good. I've been, since 2000, God's kept me alive. And I'm eating a little bit better. That's what got me where I am now. This American diet everybody eats is killing us. But it clogs your arteries, and you know. So I guess I will tell you, when they did that bypass, they have not ever opened me up and not found something different. Every time I've been opened up. They went in there, did the bypasses, they were messing around and stuff, and found an aneurysm on the backside of my heart. If they hadn't have noticed it, that could have busted and I'd have died just like that. But they was able to take it off, you know, without any problems and go on about their business and sew me back up. And, you know, I was good for, here I am. And with my gallbladder, the same thing. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me either. But my stomach, no pain pills would help or nothing. And it's like I was having a baby. I don't know what that feels like, but it'd take my breath away. It was so bad. Finally, they did a CAT scan and found a little pebble in my gallbladder. And they was going to go in orthoscopic and get it out of there without having to cut me open. But when they got in there, you know, here again, it's God. It was dead. My gallbladder was dead. It had died. It had gangrene. And if that would have busted, I would have died. That's how close I was to death by just trying to live life. But God had a better plan. Here I am today speaking to you all about God, and that's His purpose, is for me to speak in His behalf, because He's in heaven. And I can't wait to get there, especially after this world, Ben. It's rough. So, I guess that's about all I can say for now. If God's willing, we'll crank up another one and do it. So, y'all be good. Remember, trust in God. Can't go wrong. God bless you.